What if I told you that the wealthiest man in history was a black African emperor? That Africa was the home to some of the greatest civilizations the world has ever seen. Empires so advanced that Europe had to rewrite history to erase them. Today we are breaking through the lies, unveiling the real Wakanda, the powerful African empires they don't want you to know about. Let's start with the Mali Empire, home of Mansa Musa, the wealthiest human being in recorded history. Can you believe that? This man had so much gold that when he traveled to Egypt, he crashed the entire Egyptian economy by flooding the market with wealth. Talk about wealth and power. Now, Mali just wasn't rich, because we've seen what wealth without education can do. But Mali was also educated. The University of Timbuktu was a global intellectual hub where scholars from all around the world came to study science, mathematics, and medicine. But why don't we learn about this in school? Because it disrupts the false narrative that Africa was primitive, or Africa was just black people, African booty scratchers, as the negative narrative has been spun. But we have a great record of our past, a great history to be proud of. Did you know that Kemet, also known as Egypt, was ruled by black African pharaohs? The Kushite dynasty, also known as the 25th dynasty, controlled Egypt for nearly a century, bringing back spiritual, political, and architectural greatness. It's an awe to uncover the real deal, the truth about us. Now, these black pharaohs were not sub-Saharan outsiders. These were black Africans who continued the legacy of the pyramids, built temples, and left behind an undeniable evidence of their power. But colonizers needed to separate Kemet, aka Egypt, from blackness to maintain the lie of European superiority. Now let's talk about a great mystery that colonial historians tried to bury. Great Zimbabwe. A city so sophisticated that when Europeans first discovered it, they refused to believe black Africans built it. Can you imagine? With its towering stone walls, built with mortar, Great Zimbabwe was a major trade center connecting Africa to China, Persia, and India. But instead of celebrating this as a black African achievement, European archaeologists, outsiders that tried to fabricate stories that outsiders built this great city. Sound familiar? It's just what colonialism has done and continues to do. Now, the Kongo Kingdom was another powerful African empire that had diplomatic relations with Portugal and even sent ambassadors to Europe. Congo leaders mastered international trade and even adopted Christianity at one point on their own terms, until colonizers used religion as a tool of oppression and control. Sounds familiar? When the transatlantic slave trade intensified, the Congo kings resisted, but European greed and betrayal ultimately led to their downfall. This is why we must study our records of the past, aka history, because the playbook of oppression hasn't changed one iota. One may ask the question, why is black education still centered on slavery and struggle instead of empire and black excellence? Well, because knowledge is power, and the right application of knowledge is true power. If you knew that your ancestors were kings, queens, scholars, warriors, intellectual beings, scientists, not just enslaved people, you'd walk differently, think differently, move differently in this present world, in our reality. You would change your reality instead of being always beat down and accepting what the world tells you who you are and what you're about. The erasure of Black African history is intentional. The West thrives on Black inferiority because of people disconnected from their past. Their records of the past are easier to control, but not anymore. We're reclaiming our records of the past, our history, and restoring the truth to its proper order. I used to hear an old mother say back home growing up, "A lie will fly, and truth moves by rowboat. But once the truth gets there, it'll stand." The truth has never been done away with. It's been hidden, and now we're revealing it and owning our power. The real Wakanda wasn't just a fantasy or a movie. It was real. Africa has always been powerful, innovative, and influential, should I say. And it's time to restore that legacy. We come from a great legacy. We come from great stock of people. People that have built great civilizations before anyone knew anything about Europe. So let's remember who we are and where we come from. That is important to knowing where we're going in our future and how to change our reality. So many of you who follow this podcast know that I never like to point out a problem without offering a solution. So the question may be asked, so what can you do now that you know the truth? You can share this video. You can teach our children and unlearn the lies we've been told. We have to learn to unlearn to learn the truth about ourselves. Because when we reclaim our records of the past, our history, we are reclaiming our future. I want you to drop a fire emoji in the comments if you're ready to reclaim your legacy. And if you found this episode powerful, don't forget to like, comment, repost, subscribe, and share. Let's spread this truth and wake up our people in our generation and the world over. It's time to make a change. This has been another powerful and impactful episode of Sankofa Sessions Podcast with your host, Chief Apostle Veronica Israel. The podcast where we take you back into the records of our past to get clarity on our collective future. Always remember, you are powerful, you are creative, you are the epitome of the divine consciousness that created the universe. You are God in flesh having a human experience, and never let anyone, any ideology, or any philosophy tell you otherwise. And until next time, peace be with you. Let's make the truth go viral.